Y'all better sit down, because what I'm about to tell you isn't gossip. This isn't a who's dating who's scroll stopper. No. This is a Hollywood level. Backstage bombshell that could make your jaw hit the floor. Have you ever wondered what goes on behind those velvet ropes, the designer smiles, the perfectly filtered Instagram posts? Yeah. Turns out, it's not just Botox and champagne. It's secrets. Deep, dangerous, and, frankly, a little bit terrifying. Tonight, one name has the industry clutching its pearls and lawyers dialing their crisis teams like mad. Teyana Taylor. And the plot twist. It's Tasha K. Yes, the same queen of spills who finally broke the silence. She's got files, sources, whispers, and maybe even a little taste of something the powers that be prayed would never see daylight. But here's the kicker. This isn't about drama or ratings. This isn't about petty feuds or Instagram clout. No. This is about a hidden health secret so shocking, so potentially catastrophic, that insiders are allegedly calling it a ticking time bomb behind Hollywood's glitzy facade. So before you scroll past thinking it's just another celebrity story, ask yourself, what if everything you knew about the perfect star was a carefully curated illusion hiding something far darker? You ever get that feeling that behind every smile, every flawless photo shoot, every carefully captioned post, something nasty is bubbling under the surface? That's exactly what insiders are whispering about Teyana Taylor. Because while the public has been obsessing over red carpets and music drops, there's allegedly been a quiet storm raging backstage, one that, if true, rewrites the entire narrative. You thought you knew, and now, I'm not talking about the usual tabloid nonsense. I'm talking about documents, sources, and private exchanges so sensitive that Hollywood's most seasoned crisis managers reportedly lost sleep over them. Teyana Taylor, for those living under a rock, isn't just a singer, dancer, or fashion icon. She's a meticulously curated brand, a living Instagram aesthetic, a headline machine. But according to Tasha K., the person who finally cracked the seal, there's more lurking behind the veneers. For years, she claims a health-related secret was quietly contained, so quietly that even some of Teyana's closest collaborators may have been blindsided. Sources allege that during this period, choices were made, behaviors were exhibited, and interactions unfolded in ways that could have put anyone nearby at risk. And yet, the public saw nothing but the glimmering, untouchable persona. Now, let's break this down. Allegedly, this wasn't some minor condition, a small inconvenience, or a passing issue. No. This is something insiders describe as a potential game-changer, something that could have affected partners, associates, and the very machinery of Hollywood operations. Tasha K. reportedly obtained access to what she called confidential files, off-the-record communications, and what she describes as a web of consequences that had quietly spun out of control over the years. And before you roll your eyes, thinking, oh, another celebrity scandal, consider this. If even half of what she suggested is accurate, this isn't just messy gossip. This is a blueprint for reputations collapsing, careers shattering, and industry panic playing out behind closed doors. Sources tell Tasha K. that the quiet began during a particularly turbulent period in Teyana's personal life. The divorce rumors, the public disputes, and the cryptic social media posts weren't the whole story. Allegedly, there were private moments unseen to the public eye where tensions, secrecy, and fear-dominated interactions. And as Tasha puts it, certain high-profile individuals may have unknowingly become entangled in this storm. The specifics, naturally, are shrouded in allegedly language because these are sensitive matters, potentially explosive if verified. But the way she tells it, the pattern of concealment and risk management was meticulous, coordinated, and, according to her sources, unprecedented. One thing Tasha K. emphasizes repeatedly is the emotional impact. This wasn't just clinical or procedural, it was human chaos. She paints a picture of Teyana moving at breakneck speed, scheduling projects back-to-back, appearing flawless, yet allegedly juggling personal crises in a way that left those close to her uncertain, anxious, and sometimes endangered. Insiders claim that the aura of perfection, the calm demeanor, and the polished social media feed were all a carefully constructed shield. Behind it, emotional volatility, secrecy, and what some describe as desperate damage control were allegedly in play. And the drama doesn't stop at health concerns. According to Tasha K., this period coincided with relationships that weren't just emotionally complicated. They may have been high risk. Partners, collaborators, and even casual associates allegedly found themselves navigating interactions where the full picture was intentionally obscured. The consequence: emotional turbulence, sudden exits, and whispered warnings behind closed doors. Sources claim that at least one high-profile partner reportedly sought answers, alarmed not by rumors, but by the subtle cues, sudden withdrawals, uncharacteristic behavior, and the kind of instinctive unease that only comes when you sense something genuinely wrong. Allegedly, some of the most striking interactions involved a prominent figure in the music and entertainment industry. Aaron Pierre. Tasha K paints him as someone emotionally unprepared for the whirlwind, pulled into a series of events and dynamics he may not have fully comprehended at the time. According to her, the interactions were marked by intense attachment, abrupt shifts, and patterns of behavior that raised eyebrows behind closed doors. And again, this wasn't just typical romantic drama. The implications, according to Tasha, touched health, emotional stability, and public perception, creating a domino effect that spread through various social and professional networks. Another layer to this story, as Tasha reports, involves the mechanics of Hollywood crisis management. Lawyers, publicists, and reputation teams allegedly worked tirelessly to contain information that, if exposed, could have caused widespread panic or worse, tangible consequences for those involved. There are reports of off-the-record calls, confidential advisories, and strategic decisions designed to protect images over individuals. This isn't hyperbole. Insiders suggest that the orchestration was complex, multi-layered, and remarkably efficient. In short, while the public saw carefully managed appearances, the real action was happening behind the scenes, away from cameras and microphones. And while Teyana Taylor's public life flourished toward shows, music releases, and social media, campaigns, the private life reportedly told a different story. Allegedly, there were moments where emotional strain and secrecy intersected with professional obligations, creating scenarios where those around her had to tread lightly. Sources claim that assistants, collaborators, and personal contacts were instructed to maintain discretion, avoid unnecessary questions, and, in some cases, minimize interactions. The overarching goal: prevent leaks, preserve the brand, and, perhaps most importantly, manage risk. Tasha K also touches on what she describes as the subtle behavioral markers that indicated something deeper was at play. Emotional oscillation, heightened vigilance, and unusual patterns of social engagement allegedly hinted at a hidden crisis. According to insiders, these weren't isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern that had allegedly been ongoing for years. And while fans speculated over social media posts, award show appearances, or cryptic Instagram stories, very few could connect the dots because the reality was purposefully obfuscated. Now, let's talk about the alleged ripple effect. If the claims are accurate, the situation didn't remain contained. Sources reportedly observed interactions that could have led to inadvertent exposure to others, not just emotionally, but potentially physically. And here's where the stakes allegedly become staggering. Insiders describe a scenario where a lack of disclosure, combined with intimate and professional interactions, created a potential web of consequences spanning multiple high-profile individuals. And once this pattern was noticed internally, crisis teams allegedly kicked into overdrive legal consultations, confidential testing advisories, And quiet meetings behind locked doors became the norm. By the time Tasha K revealed these claims on her podcast, the narrative shifted from a celebrity health concern to an alleged industry-level alert. The suggestion that while public headlines celebrated awards, performances, and red carpet appearances, the private reality involved management of risk, containment of information, and the careful navigation of relationships under unusually high stakes. And as she points out, the silence surrounding the matter was not just strategic, it was allegedly life-altering. There's also the human element, which Tasha emphasizes with gravity. Insiders reportedly observed stress, panic, and emotional withdrawal among those who inadvertently became involved. Allegedly, some partners and collaborators experienced sleepless nights, anxious uncertainty, and profound concern over what they didn't know, according to Tasha. This was no ordinary celebrity drama. The situation, if even partially accurate, had real implications both personally and professionally for those connected to Teyana Taylor during this period. And it wasn't just about individuals. According to sources, systemic Hollywood mechanisms were allegedly triggered. Reputation teams, publicists, and legal advisors were said to be coordinating a high-level containment strategy, rewriting timelines, redirecting narratives, and shaping public perception. Essentially, while the industry celebrated one narrative, the glamorous, untouchable Teyana Taylor, the private narrative involved high-stakes secrecy, meticulous management, and allegedly, a chain of potential risk that extended far beyond a single person. By the end of this initial revelation, one thing becomes clear. The story Tasha K is telling is layered, complex, and, if true, dangerous. Allegedly, the combination of concealed health concerns, high-profile relationships, and the Hollywood system's obsession with image created a volatile cocktail that insiders struggled to contain. And while the public remained oblivious, the inner workings of this network reportedly bore the tension, fear, and uncertainty of those trying to navigate the storm. And just when you think it can't get more intense, Tasha K drops the subtle hints about specific relationships that allegedly illustrate the depth of the impact, the timing, behavior, and context of interactions during key periods reportedly align in a way that paints a picture of deliberate concealment, emotional instability, and strategic distraction. According to sources, these weren't minor missteps, they were calculated, intentional, and possibly protective maneuvers designed to shield both image and reputation, while quietly managing risk behind the scenes. By the time listeners are left staring at a Hollywood landscape that looks completely different than the one they thought they knew. It's glamorous on the surface, yes, but beneath, insiders suggest there's a tangled web of secrecy, strategic deception, and alleged danger that no one outside the inner circle fully understands. And as Tasha K hints, this is just the beginning. Because once these patterns are traced, once the connections are considered, the stage is set for revelations that could send shockwaves far beyond what anyone imagined. The pieces are in motion. The players are tense. The consequences, allegedly, are real. And as the camera lens shifts, the public remains blissfully unaware of the high-stakes maneuvers unfolding behind velvet ropes, corporate offices, and closed doors. But Tasha K says the hush is over, and what she's revealing now will make people rethink everything they thought they knew about Teyana Taylor, her relationships, and the very system that's supposed to protect the industry's most polished stars. And with that, we're just getting started. Because what happens next? Well, that's where it gets explosive. So here's where things start to unravel, folks. Because once Tasha K dropped the first hints, the threads began connecting in ways that make you wonder how anyone in Hollywood sleeps at night. Allegedly, what was contained behind closed doors wasn't just personal chaos, it was a map of interactions, relationships, and high-stakes concealment that some insiders are calling unprecedented. And if you think I'm exaggerating, consider the so-called sources who claim to have seen schedules, travel logs, and private correspondence that suggest Teyana Taylor's calendar wasn't just packed with performances, it was a protective mechanism. Every public appearance, every late-night studio session, every red carpet moment allegedly served as camouflage. According to Tasha, the scandal starts with behavior patterns that most people would chalk up to celebrity eccentricities. But insiders reportedly notice far more: emotional swings, sudden withdrawals, and what some describe as obsessive attention towards specific partners weren't random. They were allegedly signals of something deeper, something tied to the hidden health risk. And here's the kicker: those around her, including collaborators and alleged romantic interests, may have been interacting under circumstances they weren't fully briefed on. One source told Tasha, "I didn't know whether to hug her, shake her hand, or keep my distance. It was like stepping into a minefield." Now imagine that. In a world where charm and image are currency, allegedly, one of the most shocking layers involves what insiders claim were quiet interventions. Behind the scenes, legal teams reportedly circulated memos, representatives held off-the-record briefings, and managers supposedly instructed staff on how to navigate interactions carefully. Tasha K described it like this: "It wasn't paranoia, it was preparation." And the thing about preparation in Hollywood, it usually means someone is trying to stop the next disaster before it becomes a headline. Sources allege that in some instances, personal assistants were given scripts for conversations, collaborators were warned of sensitive topics, and even casual encounters were scrutinized for risk. All this, apparently, to keep one secret from reaching daylight. And the relationships. Oh, the relationships. According to Tasha, some of the most explosive moments occurred with Aaron Pierre. She framed him as the unwitting epicenter of a storm he never saw coming. Allegedly, interactions that looked normal on Instagram were anything but. Tasha described emotional tension, clinginess, sudden conflicts, and dramatic shifts in intimacy, all pointing toward a situation spiraling out of control. He was navigating emotional landmines he didn't even know existed, she said. And as she walked listeners through the timeline, the pattern allegedly suggested that these behaviors weren't isolated, they were symptoms of a larger, concealed problem. Now, imagine this scenario playing out with a Hollywood backdrop. Award shows, late-night appearances, tours, press junkets, all under the glare of cameras and fans. Sources claim that Teyana was performing at peak levels, yet simultaneously managing something that could potentially disrupt anyone who came too close. And if you think celebrities don't notice, think again. According to insiders, the energy around her shifted, subtly but unmistakably. Partners, collaborators, and even high-profile friends allegedly reported feeling anxious, confused, and cautious. It was like walking on glass, one imaginary insider told Tasha. You couldn't relax, because you never knew which interaction could blow up next. Allegedly. What makes this story even more combustible is the alleged chain of contacts and the ripple effect. Tasha claimed that documents she reviewed hinted at interactions with multiple high-profile individuals, some of whom were reportedly in positions where their health or reputation could have been impacted. And while she carefully avoided naming some figures directly, the implication was clear. If even part of this pattern were true, the potential consequences extended far beyond Teyana and Aaron. Think executives, producers, performers, people moving in tight circles who could unknowingly become part of a cascading problem. And Hollywood, notoriously obsessed with optics, allegedly scrambled to contain it. According to sources, the containment strategies weren't subtle. Lawyers allegedly coordinated behind-the-scenes meetings. Representatives reportedly sent private advisories, and reputation management teams executed what Tasha described as coordinated redirections. This allegedly included rewriting social media narratives, controlling media appearances, and reframing conversations to keep any trace of the underlying issue hidden. One source allegedly said, "They were spinning so fast you could get dizzy just watching from the outside." And yes, this is the same industry where a leaked text or an offhand comment can go viral in minutes. Imagine trying to suppress something with potential health implications. It's no small task. Public reactions, as Tasha framed them, were equally wild, even though most of the public remained blissfully unaware. Social media was reportedly awash with speculation about breakups, clout relationships, and supposed personality conflicts, while insiders were allegedly maneuvering through the quiet panic of risk containment. Fans, of course, didn't know what was real and what was distraction. And according to Tasha, that ambiguity was exactly what some people counted on. The louder the gossip, the quieter the truth, she said, almost with a smirk. And the more you think about it, the more unsettling it gets. Allegedly, the lavish lifestyle, often celebrated in public, became a double-edged sword. Extravagant trips, high-profile events, and designer appearances weren't just publicity, they allegedly functioned as camouflage. Sources claim that during key periods, Teyana's schedule was structured in a way that minimized unsupervised private interactions, keeping certain sensitive issues off the radar. The goal? Manage the public image while simultaneously managing risk behind the scenes. And insiders reportedly marvel at the precision of it. One anonymous source allegedly told Tasha, "It's like watching a chess game where half the pieces are invisible and the other half are walking on eggshells." Then there's the alleged financial angle. According to Tasha, some insiders suggested that protecting this secret had real implications for contracts, endorsements, and projects. Agencies, labels, and management teams were allegedly recalibrating deals to factor in the unknown variables. Payments, project timelines, and publicity campaigns were reportedly shifted or delayed, ostensibly to avoid any scenario where the hidden truth might intersect with public visibility. And if you've ever wondered why certain collaborations were delayed or dropped, insiders allege that this might explain a lot. Suddenly, what looked like ordinary industry drama could have been risk management disguised as business. Decisions. Now, imagine trying to explain this to a casual observer. From the outside, it looks like celebrity unpredictability. A breakup here, a cryptic tweet there, a mysterious absence from events. But Tasha K frames it as a meticulously, and just when you think you've wrapped your head around the chaos, this video hits, and now it's all fallout, consequences, and whispers of a Hollywood system teetering on the edge. Because according to Tasha K, what started as a concealed health issue didn't stay contained. It allegedly metastasized into a full-blown industry alert, leaving a trail of anxious managers, worried lawyers, and shaken collaborators in its wake. Insiders reportedly describe a scene that looks like controlled chaos, phones lighting up at 2 a.m., emergency conference calls, and crisis teams activating protocols. Faster than you can say Instagram apology. Tasha K paints a vivid picture of what she claims was the immediate reaction once the alleged secret began leaking behind closed doors. Reputation managers were allegedly working overtime, carefully curating messaging to avoid the public ever catching wind of the true scope. She told her listeners, when Hollywood wants a story buried, they don't just spin it, they redirect it, rewrite it, and package it with enough glitter to distract the masses. Allegedly, every move was calculated, projects shuffled, press appearances delayed, and social media feeds polished to perfection. The goal? Keep the world looking at the red carpet, while insiders quietly assessed risk and mitigated exposure. And it wasn't just behind-the-scenes maneuvering. According to Tasha, the ripple effect reached high-profile partners, collaborators, and even executives who, until this point, had assumed they were untouchable. Some allegedly began undergoing discreet testing, seeking guidance, and reevaluating personal connections. It wasn't paranoia, she said. It was survival. And in Hollywood, survival often costs more than money. It costs your credibility, your peace of mind, and sometimes your career. Allegedly, one source described a scenario where agents were briefing agents, lawyers were briefing lawyers, and everyone involved was operating in a web of silent alarms. Then there's the alleged emotional fallout. According to insiders, some people close to Teyana reportedly experienced heightened anxiety, sleepless nights, and moments of extreme emotional stress. Partners allegedly withdrew. Collaborators allegedly second-guessed every interaction. And personal relationships reportedly frayed as those involved tried to navigate the uncertainty. Tasha framed it as almost a domino effect. One person affected, several others destabilized. Entire professional circles put on edge. And the public? Blissfully unaware, still clicking likes and posting heart emojis under curated photos. Completely oblivious to the backstage panic. Allegedly. One of the most significant shocks involved Aaron Pierre. According to Tasha, his behavior, previously dismissed as clingy or overly attached, may have been a symptom of being pulled into a situation he didn't fully understand. Emotional stress, public scrutiny, and the sudden withdrawal of attention from Teyana allegedly created a perfect storm. Sources reportedly told Tasha that Aaron exhibited signs of genuine distress, prompting insiders to quietly advise him, protect him, and, in some cases, manage his public appearances to avoid raising suspicion. The lesson? In Hollywood, even emotional reactions can be weaponized, manipulated, or reframed to protect a narrative. Now, let's talk about the alleged systemic implications. Tasha K reportedly described mechanisms that Hollywood has long relied on to shield its stars. Confidential medical clauses, quiet legal settlements, private advisories. These are the tools allegedly used to manage situations like this. According to insiders, entire teams were coordinating to prevent leaks, suppress public knowledge, and control perception. And when you consider the scale, executives, producers, agents, and PR teams all moving in synchrony, you begin to understand why even minor whispers can feel catastrophic. Allegedly, the industry is less a glamorous playground and more a high-stakes chessboard, where every move has calculated consequences. Tasha also alleged a series of public reactions that were anything but casual. Fans reportedly speculated over sudden breaks in appearances, cryptic social media posts, and abrupt career shifts. Meanwhile, insiders allegedly worked tirelessly to reframe narratives. It's never about the truth. Tasha said, it's about optics, control, and damage limitation, according to sources. Some decisions went beyond public relations, allegedly involving financial recalibrations, contract renegotiations, and the redirection of sponsorships to prevent any linkage to the underlying issue. And when you think about it, that's the scariest part. What happens when control supersedes honesty, and appearances become more important than actual safety? Allegedly, the fallout didn't just stay in the private realm. Tasha claimed that whispers of investigations and private probes were circulating, suggesting that Hollywood powerhouses were quietly assessing liability. The question, insiders allegedly debated, was not just reputational, it was legal. Could anyone be held accountable for unintentional exposure, undisclosed risk, or mishandled relationships? According to Tasha, while no public lawsuits had surfaced, conversations behind closed doors were reportedly heated. Lawyers, advisors, and representatives were allegedly evaluating every angle, every precedent, and every potential outcome, all while keeping the public none the wiser. And then there's the human cost, which Tasha K emphasized with her signature cadence. Emotional instability, stress, isolation. Panic. The people allegedly affected weren't just names or statistics. They were individuals grappling with the fallout of secrecy, forced into decisions they didn't fully understand, trying to navigate a web of risk they had never consented to enter. Allegedly, one source described months of isolation, private therapy sessions, and avoidance of the public eye as coping mechanisms. It's a side of Hollywood no one sees on red carpets or in music videos. But according to Tasha, it's every bit as real as the headlines. Tasha also teased the next layer of the story, hinting at connections to high-profile figures beyond Aaron Pierre. Names, according to her, have been deliberately withheld, but insiders reportedly suggest that if even a fraction of these interactions are verified, the implications could touch collaborations, tours, and projects that span multiple entertainment sectors. And yes, this is where the stakes allegedly escalate. The pattern isn't isolated. It's allegedly systemic, linking personal, professional, and financial spheres in ways that could reverberate for years. By the time this segment of her podcast concluded, one thing was crystal clear. The alleged health issue wasn't just a private matter. It had allegedly catalyzed a chain reaction across Hollywood. Emotional fallout, systemic interventions, crisis management, and private consultations were all playing out beneath the surface. While fans speculated about clout, breakups, and Instagram aesthetics, Tasha framed it as a cautionary tale. In a world obsessed with image, the consequences of silence can ripple farther and deeper than anyone imagines. Allegedly, there were even moments when insiders reportedly debated whether to go public, to sound the alarm. But Hollywood, as Tasha put it, operates on protection and control, not transparency. When truth surfaces, panic ensues, she said. And nobody wants panic in the middle of a photo shoot or a headline tour. That, allegedly, explains why certain figures quietly pulled back. Others distanced themselves, and some disappeared from social circles entirely. The ripple effect wasn't just emotional, it was logistical, strategic, and allegedly financial. And here's the part that really gets the heart racing. Tasha K suggested that the timing of everything wasn't coincidental. Every project, appearance, and public engagement allegedly aligned with strategic concealment. It wasn't just about distraction, it was about orchestrated protection, moving in such a way that minimized exposure while maximizing perception. The term she allegedly used, calculated camouflage, and according to insiders, it worked. To the public, Teyana Taylor remained untouchable, flawless, and in control. Behind the scenes, the alleged storm was anything but. Finally, Tasha concluded this portion by framing the potential consequences for the broader industry. Insiders allegedly described a scenario where contracts could have been renegotiated, sponsorships redirected, and collaborations reevaluated all to manage exposure. Emotional and reputational risk, allegedly, were being treated with the same precision as financial risk. And every decision had ramifications far beyond the immediate circle. Tasha left listeners with a chilling note. Silence might protect appearances, but it does nothing for accountability. And in Hollywood, when a secret like this finally breaches containment, the fallout doesn't fade quietly, it spreads. And no one is immune. So now, after everything you've just heard, ask yourself this: how much of Hollywood's perfect life is actually curated? How many images, smiles, and red carpet moments are hiding chaos, secrets, and consequences we'll never see? Tasha K just peeled back the curtain on Teyana Taylor. And what she revealed isn't just gossip, it's a warning. If even a fraction of what she claims is true, we're not talking about drama anymore. We're talking about trust shattered, careers manipulated, and lives quietly at risk while the cameras kept rolling. Think about it: how many times have you believed in a romance, a friendship, or a collaboration, only to later discover the story was carefully packaged for your consumption? How many people have unknowingly walked into situations they weren't prepared for? Because secrecy and reputation management outweighed honesty and safe it.